Hello, my name is Thomas Südbrücker, and today I want to instantiate Node-RED on IBM Cloud. Why? I like Node-RED. It is a perfect tool for prototyping at hackathons. I use the starter kit on IBM Cloud to do that. And now let's see how it works. That's a new way to do this. At the past, there was other way. Okay, now start. By the way, in the description below, I have a link to a blog post I created, which is related to that topic. With the starter kit, we have everything in place and pre-configured to run the application, including the Cloudant service and configurations and so on, and also pipeline and also. So, starting to understand, the source code comes from IBM Cloud for the Node-RED instance. Why did I show you that? Later on, we will clone this project into our GitLab repository on IBM Cloud. We will create a Cloudant instance where we will store our node configuration information, flow information, security, and so on when we use the Node-RED application. Okay, let us start with creating the app. When we create an app inside IBM Cloud, that means this app is the single point of entry to all related resources we need to run an application instance. So the app itself is not the application instance, just to keep that in mind. So that will be, what's right? Hackathon. Okay. And this will be a Node.js application. Node-RED is a Node.js application running on Cloud Foundry in our situation. And we will use for our Cloudant service and lite plan. So we have no costs. So let us create this. And then you will see why I call this app a single point of entry of the related resources for our application instance at least. So we'll see here is the service. And later on we will configure the continuous delivery, which creates the development toolchain and a development pipeline to automatically deploy our application to IBM Cloud. And when the provisioning of the service credential is finished, we can move on with the deployment of our application. So we finished, and now we move on with the deployment. We can see here on the right-hand side some guideline information to do this. So when we move on to the deployment, we see we will deploy a Cloud Foundry application because the toolchain and the deployment pipeline will run independently for us. And so for that, we sure need an application key. So we can define the number of instances of our Cloud Foundry app instance. The memory size. Here we see the location is in Dallas. And here we see the host name is red. It means the host name is currently in use. When we create a Cloud Foundry app instance on IBM Cloud, automatically for us is an URL created which is unique on the internet, and we can access our application. So this name must be unique, and here in a combination with my Bluenix.net, I called it my hackathon, and let's see, validates the hostname and it is available. Okay. Then we will create the toolchain, and so that we can see that we have created this toolchain. I will call it also toolchain so that the name also reflects what it does. Okay, Now we can create it. And now we see it generates code. At least it means it clones the code from the GitHub repository, as I said, from the IBM Cloud GitHub repository. And then it allocates all the rest on resources. That means we will create a delivery and deployment pipeline. So here we see it. So we have the toolchain and the source code. So when we go take a look at the source code, now we have our clone of this project in IBM Cloud. So we can use it from here and change source code if you want. And here is our toolchain. The toolchain, let us take a look what it is. The toolchain contains all the tools we need for the development. And we need for sure where does the source code come from. That's our GitHub repository. We do the organization for issues with GitLab. And we have a delivery pipeline to automatically deploy our application. And there's a possibility also to use an web IDE. Yeah, basic stuff. We can add some more tools for different kind of tasks in our development. But at the moment, that's fair enough, especially if we are at a hackathon. So let us open up the delivery pipeline here. So the first stage has passed, the build stage. So the application was cloned. We can see here that was the last commit. That was the clone from IBM Cloud. And now there's a rolling deployment. And that takes a little bit time. I would say maybe it's time now for speeding up the video. Oh, the deployment is finished. Let's take a look into our Node.js application. This is our Node.js application instance on Cloud Foundry. We can see. And we can directly visit our Node.js application with the URL of the app. And we can see it here. And we can start with the configuration. But before we start with the configuration, I want also to open up the Cloudant database so that you can see what I promised, that the data is stored inside the Cloudant database instance inside of the service. We can see here there was a Cloudant database created. Currently we have these two entries, and now we move on with the configuration. So here, admin, and this password we use a not too small one. And we check allow to view editor, but make not any changes. So that's very useful for a hackathon, because the cool thing with Node.js is also just copy and paste nodes for the easy usage. And yeah, so that would be a good thing just to allow that. Okay, now we can instantiate, or we have configured and instantiated our application, and it runs now. We can open up the flow, and here is on flow. I want to delete these two things, and when I delete that, that's the usual mistake. cannot do changes without a login. So here, I want to do that. That's normal what happens, and you do not really notice that. Okay, just an update on that. Okay, now I can delete, deploy it, and then I can edit my nodes. You can see here that's just drag and drop, and notice here I'm writing hello hackathon. And we can deploy it. And when we press eject, see the message and the entire message object, for example, is available with these. Cool thing, you have a running instance, and now we will do a change in the source code. Here on public, I know the index to edit. So our entry is node.red for our hackathon. So flow-based prototyping at hackathon smiley. Yeah, and that's our change. We can commit and say here fun change, and these we can commit that, and it automatically, when we take a look at our deployment, we will see it will start with the deployment once again, and then we have a different UI. Yeah, that's enough for now. Now we have the changes available on our application. Let's take a look. This is the URL, and we see here. Yeah. Cool. We have a full integrated development environment, running application. Yeah. In 15 minutes, I would say approximately, but that's totally cool. Okay. I hope you have fun with the information, and it is helpful for you at hackathons, and maybe we'll see us. Bye.